Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Chris. I'm a technical sales representative for Global Test Supply. Thank you all for joining us, joining this webinar via Global Test Supply University. Today's topic will be Introduction to Portable Precision Power Analyzers with Fluke. During the presentation, I'm going to ask you to kindly mute your microphone. Presentation will be about 45 minutes, and we're going to have time allotted at the end for any and all questions. We encourage any and all questions that you possibly have. Please use the chat feature on the should be lower right hand corner of your screen. And if we have pertinent questions that come up through the presentation, our presenter Jason and I will go over, maybe cut in every once in a while to take any questions that we have that are pertinent. But like I said, we'll have about 15 minutes at the end of the presentation to go over any and all. So Global Test Supply has been working closely with Fluke for many years. We pride ourselves on being a leading distributor of Fluke electronics. This is a result of our dedication to offering you our product expertise, service, and competitive pricing. As mentioned, this webinar is brought to you by Fluke. We have Jason Axelson from Fluke, who will be presenting today. Jason has been with Fluke for over 15 years as a field support engineer with the North American Technical Support Team. Recently, he was made product application specialist and subject matter expert for power quality, scope meters, and battery testers, and is dedicated to product and solution application training. He also applies his expertise helping customers and team members with diagnosis and resolution for both technical and product inquiries, and speaks with end user customers to gather information towards developing new product solutions through gathering their insight and needs. So Jason, I will turn the presentation over to you.
Oh, perfect. Thanks, Chris. I was going to introduce myself, but I think you pretty much nailed every aspect. Yeah, we're here today to discuss the Precision Power Analyzer. So the most common question or most common product out there up till this time period has been mostly power quality tools that we get a lot of comments on, but we do have some other tools out there that the Precision Power Analyzer. Go here. So the Norma 6000 is a Precision Power Analyzer, and it's not a power quality device. So we'll go into some discussions there a little bit about this, but the Norma has two different types of models. We have the 6004 model and the 6003 model. And so basically the 6003 and 6004 models, here's an example here. I mean, basically on the 4 designates number of channels. So you have an additional channel, and then also off to the side on there, you have a torque and speed sensor input on the 6004 and 6003 plus versions. So the plus models will have a torque and speed sensor input. And we'll go over that here too in some detail. So the Norma 6000, basically, again, it's not a power quality analyzer. It's really a power analyzer. So quality, the separation between the two really is a quality device is designed to capture events specific to your power quality system and categorize those based on a standard. The Norma is not designed for that process. So like if you're trying to capture dips and swells and sags and transients, the Norma is not set up to trigger on events like that. It's designed for making real-time measurements, although you can log and trend data over time, but it won't characterize your event data for you like a power quality analyzer would. The one thing about the Norma, which is over the years, Fluke's had a lot of questions about tools for making measurements on variable speed drive outputs, as well as DC measurements for a power analyzer or a power quality device. Well, the Norma 6000 has the ability to do DC measurements and also has a higher bandwidth capacity. So it can handle making measurements that are, beyond 60 hertz and 50 hertz, like a typical power quality analyzer, which is designed for measuring 50 and 60 hertz power quality. So basically, AC and DC measurements the importance of that typically today is that you're dealing with a lot of alternative energy systems, battery storage systems, wind farms, solar. These have both a DC and an AC component to them, but also have a high frequency component. So the Norma 6000 allows you to not only measure those systems, but also characterize the efficiency of those systems. And in today's energy conservation environment with newer energy standards and tighter energy standards, and also the fact that energy savings is really important, the Norma helps characterize those things. And up till this point, Fluke has had some bench Norma products, but they're not really a portable product. But the other power quality devices that we manufacture don't make high frequency measurements on the output side of inverters or variable speed drives. So this is one of the innovations of this particular type of product. Accuracy, so 0.1% for current and voltage. And the Norma does have a built-in shunt that'll support up to 10 amps for making low milliamp measurements. So it's highly accurate. So the difference between the Norma products is Fluke's had the Norma 4 and 5000 model, which are a bench product for like laboratory use. But with today's measurements on turbines and other systems, you have a lot of technicians out in the field using these products. And you can't really, power might not be present for 120 volts for a bench product, but they're also not really portable. So Fluke introduced the Norma 6000 as a lightweight portable option that you could easily carry around with you, but had very high accuracy for voltage and current measurements. So basically, again, how is it different? So kind of went over some of the details there. The analyzer can measure, again, variable frequency systems. So it's not fixed on your power distribution 50 and 60 hertz or 400 hertz limitations. So you can make measurements with the Norma on, the higher frequency variable speed drive outputs up to 500 kilohertz. So it has a very high frequency range capability. The kind of where you would use the tool, and kind of mention a few of these items, but here we have a little bit more of a visual picture, a broad visual picture. So a PQ analyzer would typically be used in the AC side of power distribution. So again, 50 and 60 hertz. The Norma, however, can be used at AC, DC, DC to DC. So all kinds of conversion systems or energy conversion systems where, again, you have a high frequency component and you also have both DC and AC present. And so this just kind of gives a little bit of an example of, where you might use the Norma to make measurements at. The key attributes of the Norma, again, versus like the bench analyzers would be the display is pretty big. So even the bench analyzers actually have a smaller display. It's only about 6 pounds. So has a strap, neck strap with it. Very easy to carry around. Battery powered. So again, you don't need to have 120 volts handy to power the unit up, and it could run up to 10 hours off battery power. The user interface, just keypad driven, so very few keys on there. The interface has some sub menus, but it's designed to be a little bit easier to navigate than the multi keypads of a bench analyzer. So direct probe inputs, and clamp inputs. So like a lot of our Fluke products where we use banana plug jacks, the same type of designs used on the Norma 6000. And then the other thing about it is that you can switch between the 10 amp internal shunt for higher accuracy, low current measurements, or it has a regular BNC. So any of our Fluke S labeled clamps, or you can use other manufacturers' clamps. It's a voltage input, so it's just a regular BNC connection. So you can, again, use quite a range of clamps with it and then scale the clamps. There's a setting internally to allow you to adjust custom scaling for the current clamps that you're using, whether they're Fluke or a different manufacturer. The sampling rate, so 200 kilohertz sampling. So it's online with our 430 series products, which do higher speed transient capture for waveform deviations less than 1/2 of a cycle time. Bandwidth up to 500 kilohertz again. So higher frequencies, most of our tools like the 430 series are geared around 50 and 60 hertz measurements. Also has, a Fourier transform window and gives you spectrum information for harmonic data up to 100 kilohertz. The user adjustable measurement rate, you can set logging down to 100 milliseconds all the way up to 1 second if you want to do continuous logging. It's got a substantial amount of internal memory, 32 gigabytes of onboard storage, so you can just log data directly into the meter's memory if you want to. Basically, one of the other unique features is because you can make efficiency measurements with the meter, is you can back-to-back two Normas together and synchronize them. So if you take two Normas and connect them back-to-back, you can have up to 8 channels available to you by connecting two Normas together. Category safety ratings, again, are Cat 4 rated like most of our other Fluke products are. And then it does come with a software package that could be used for not only downloading the data, but also for programming the unit. You can do the keypad driven interface, or if you happen to have a PC connected to it, you can actually use your computer to program and custom configure it as well. So makes it, I like both methods, but the PC navigation is a little bit easier because it just kind of opens up everything for you. So the PC software allows for that. It makes it really nice and convenient. So the key attributes, we have some screen samples here too from what the Norma's live visual screen looks like. But again, the key thing here is, and it's what we've been asked for customers for several years now for power quality, is a lot of times people take a power quality tool and they want to measure on the output side of a variable speed drive or some kind of inverter. Don't have the ability to do that with our current products, except for the bench Norma and the portable Norma 6000 series that we're talking about today. So those allow us to take and make those measurements. So again, AC to DC, DC to AC, you don't have a limitation there. So you can do that, and of course, higher frequency measurements. The display on the unit, again, is a nice large display, color display. So, and you can have up to 26 parameters visible on the display simultaneously if you want to, but it gets and then you can page through multiple parameters and allows you to build customized lists of the type of data you want to see. But of course, having that many parameters visible on the screen at one time, but you can reduce and modify that. But anyway, the main key to take away here is the ability to do, again, your DC and AC measurements on inverters, variable frequency drives is one of the key things here with the Norma 6000. The two models that we have, again, would be the 3-channel version Norma and then the 4-channel version Norma. Well, there's 4 total models because then we implement the plus versions. So if you have the plus version, again, you're going to have the speed and torque sensor inputs, which you don't have on the non-plus models. So if motor efficiency isn't something you're interested in, then the Norma 6003 or Norma 6004. But the plus version, again, is going to give you the ability to do speed and torque. Has that capability. The inputs, again, can support up to 10 amps direct for the inputs. And then if you slide, basically, if you slide the little cover off the BNC connector, down or up, you can expose the BNC or expose the blue shunt inputs for 10 amps. So it allows you to switch over between them quite easily by just sliding the cover back and forth at the top of the meter. The built-in shunt, again, up to 10 amps, so you can do lower milliamp measurements if you wanted to. And then in this example here, basically just allows you to, again, you can slide the cover back and forth to expose the regular BNCs if you have current clamps like that. And then we also do have a high accuracy ACDC clamp that goes up to 2000 amps that can also be used with the Norma series, which is pictured here in this picture, has a larger jaw design for if you're doing, again, your DC system, sometimes you need larger jaw dimensions, especially if you're in like transportation industry. The other thing that we have is differential probe option. So besides the 2000 amp ACDC current clamp, there's also a 1500 volt DC differential probe. The reason for that is that if you're in the solar business, you have a higher DC voltages up to 1500 volts that you're dealing with. So the Norma has a differential probe you can use to make those 1500 volt DC measurements on solar systems if it's necessary. So that's an accessory that can be used. So once you've kind of got a grasp of understanding, of course, where would I use this? I know what the product's kind of about, but where do you actually use these products? So the Norma being a higher accuracy portable unit, I think our key focus here is renewable energy, just because you're dealing with AC and DC conversion systems, electric vehicle market, but of course, research and development, and then third-party labs, again, have used the bench Normas for over years, but the Norma 6000 portable version would also be an option there now, especially if you don't, again, have access to power and you need to move something around a lot. Also for manufacturing, like transformer manufacturers have to meet very stringent efficiency standards. So the Norma can be used to measure the efficiency of your transformers to quantify that you've manufactured them to spec, which is really important these days with the newer low energy standards that are out. So a lot of times people that are using these, again, sometimes they're product development testing engineers, but in the field, when you're doing like solar and wind farms and stuff, they're technicians that just kind of follow a standard of work. They get work instructions, they go out in the field, and then you do your job. So the point of designing the Norma 6000 was to make it more simpler to use also. So very portable, but also the interface, the keypad interface, make it much more simpler. So giving you the ability to key through and set up and measure parameters without having to really think a lot about it. I mean, the navigation is very easy, and there isn't a lot of buttons to have to worry about trying to navigate and configure it. And so that's one of the things that makes the Norma a very nice unit, the 6000 versus using bench unit. So kind of customer workflow. Here we have at the top, we have the workflow of, if you're doing wind farms and other locations, you're up and down ladders and on scaffolding and things. And the picture next to that shows the larger Norma bench analyzer. So, you basically, again, if you're carrying it up on scaffolding or up ladders, it's hard to carry things that don't have straps on them, things that are, boxes, but, aren't very portable, let alone having to have external power. So the Norma 6000 addresses that. Connections again. So external current transformers, of course, we have the ability, you don't have large accessories for the bench Normas. They're designed for usually research and development applications for low energy. So with the Norma 6000, you can make higher or larger current measurements in the field. So there's larger, higher accuracy current sensors available. And of course, the portability. Wiring with the bench analyzers can be quite complicated. We've made it pretty simplified, just like we do with our power quality devices, where you can simply just plug in your voltage probes, or you have shunt built into the top that's already built in. You don't need external shunts. A lot of bench units require external shunts to be used. The plug-in power conditions, you're out in the field and you don't have access to running extension cords and using, the local voltage. So having a battery powered unit. The dimensions, fairly small and portable compared to using a boxy or bench model. And then the user interface. So the user interface on the bench models can be very complicated and difficult to navigate. leading it, more to a research and development or a laboratory engineer to use it and become familiar with it. Whereas we've redesigned the UI on the Norma 6000 to be much more easy to navigate, so technicians with little experience can navigate the menus and make the measurements they're instructed to without having to try to figure out how to set up the tool and navigate its complicated menu system. So it saves a lot of time and energy there. So again, where would you use the Norma series? So, again, we've kind of broke it down into service, research and development, operations, and then also laboratory use. So the Norma itself is designed for those kind of things. So inverters, power generators, frequency converters and motors, electronic, controls for electrical vehicles, motors, electric motors, of course, there in the vehicle systems, vehicle charging systems, and then, of course, just general laboratory use. But a lot of times, with the bench type tools, again, the issue there is that portability. It's just going to be very difficult to carry those things around with you and navigate. So if you have need for a high accuracy unit, but I think the main takeaway here, based on my years of working with customers and dealing with technical support issues, is the need to measure higher frequencies. The Norma can also do frequency measurements. Usually you're looking at the 50th harmonic. You can go up to the 100th harmonic with the Norma 6000, which kind of starts putting you into the super harmonics measurement category. So it can measure harmonics that are much, much higher and characterize those, which can cause, ground fault trips and other nuisance tripping scenarios. And you have the ability to measure those higher frequency components. So again, DC to tens of kilohertz AC, so up to 500 kilohertz AC again. So it's just something that we haven't really had as a portable option. And that's where the Norma 6000 again comes in. So features, so this just kind of gives a little breakdown or an example of the specifications of the models. So these, looks like these aren't quite correct. So at the top here, this would actually be the Norma 6003 and the Norma 6003 Plus, and the Norma 6004 and 6004 Plus are actually the right models here. But the difference again on the Plus models is the ability to do motor speed and torque. So you can do your motor efficiency measurements. The advantage of doing some of these motor efficiency measurements would be is that one is NEMA ratings. So if you deal with motors in a facility and you want to characterize the the characteristics of the motor, you could use NEMA as a comparison to understand how you're pushing in the motor. So NEMA provides guidelines on running your motors and then also provides derating guidelines for derating the horsepower of your motor to improve its operational life. So using the Norma 6000, if you're using the Plus version with the speed and torque sensors, you can make those efficiency measurements and characterize the motor and compare it against NEMA as a baseline to see, are we operating the motors efficiently? Are we getting the efficiency that we're supposed to be getting? And are we pushing the motors to a point where there's a problem there? And then you can characterize that and then compare it against the NEMA baseline to derate if you need to. And again, that would be the Plus version, allows you to be able to do that. We kind of went over the sampling rate, the bandwidth capacity, the category ratings, CAF4 600 volt rated. The IP rating here on this, it's actually IP50. So basically it's designed to work in dusty environments. So unlike your typical open-ended, boxy or bench unit, the unit's sealed to some extent for dust ingress. So you can use them in dusty and dirty environments. Again, 10 hours on the battery pack usage. And then we provide, again, an RS-485 connection for if you're doing the Plus versions, which allows you the ability to connect up your sensors. And then you can also, again, connect units back to back. Let's see, nothing really back here. Yeah, I think that sums it up there. So again, we'll just kind of recap on the Norma essentially and why you would use the Norma. So portability. So if you're working in the field and you need a high accuracy unit that can deal with high frequencies, both AC and DC measurements, then the Norma allows you to be portable in that aspect. You don't need the local power available to you to hook it up. You can just carry it in the field with up to 10 hours of battery life. So it's pretty small again. There's a shoulder strap for the unit. It's about 6 pounds. The UI, very clean and easy to navigate. So again, you don't need to have extensive knowledge in setting up the unit and keying in certain mathematic formulas because they're built into the unit already, and you can just navigate to those. The accessories, so you have access to Fluke's S line, S current clamps, anything that's designed for the scopes, the BNC connectors, those can all be used on this, as well as other companies' sensors, because you can custom key in the ratios for the particular current clamp you're using. The category ratings, as we go with most Fluke products, are all safety rated, so to prevent the user from getting injured in the field or transient energy exposure. So multiple instruments can be connected together again. So if you need more than one, more than 4 channels, you can have up to 8 total channels possible. And then the ability to measure up to 500 kilohertz and then the 100th harmonic. And then also it has a real-time oscilloscope. A lot of our units do have oscilloscopes built into them for power measurements. And then it can do, one of the things I didn't probably touch on is beyond doing harmonics, it can do regular power measurements, of course. So power factor, kVA, kVARs, kW, so you can measure all of those things as well. So really, again, the higher frequency range capabilities of allowing you to make measurements on like variable frequency drives. So again, target would be like laboratories, electric vehicles, manufacturing, renewable energy, so solar and wind farm installations, to be able to measure the power and efficiency. Kind of a breakdown here, and these are the right model numbers, but this is kind of a comparison just showing you between some of the different models. So with the Norma Series accuracy specifications, you see it's online with like the Norma 4000 series, but we do make, again, the Norma 5000, which has even higher bench accuracy and higher frequency range capabilities, but it's, again, not really portable. So harmonics, again, up to the 100th, which is unique for any of our other products. And also, the ability to do, has your vector displays like your regular power quality device would. So you can look at your phase angles, and you can also look at a vector diagram connection of your, all of your currents and voltage vectors at the same time. Category rating, again, category 4 rated, like a lot of our products are, except the Norma series, which are more for bench use. The 4 and 5000 are not rated for that. Larger color display, again, does come with software. It's, you can download the software. It's no additional charge on the software that comes with the unit. And then RS-485 communications for linking more than one unit together back to back. So the Norma's been around for a long time. Again, the bench analyzers, the mainly user interest because of the precision of the tool in developing, if you're doing manufacturing, developing low energy circuits, the Norma series has really been the forerunner in making those measurements. However, with the newer need to be able to do things more remotely, the Norma 6000 makes sense for that type of application these days. So again, portability. The UI, again, and the connections of the bench models are a little more time consuming, and the user interface, you really have to get more familiar with navigating it and setting it up. whereas a lot of the functions are already built into the Norma 6000. You just have to navigate to the function you want, but you don't have to use the cumbersome UI to try to figure out how to use it. And you can even set up the user interface yourself and customize it to where it references a certain list of parameters for you. So AC current sensor. So we offer the ACDC current sensor, which has a large jaw size, but it's very accurate. And the optional ability for speed and torque measurements using the plus version. So you can get your real-time mechanical and electrical information, so you can measure, real-time efficiency of the motor while it's actually in operation, but also use NEMA as a possible guideline into seeing how the motor is operating and its characteristics and make adjustments if necessary. But again, the target people, who would normally use this again would be, again, operational maintenance. So anybody who's doing plant maintenance and operations, service work, commissioning new power installations and new power systems, like for wind farms and solar. It just really kind of goes hand in hand with our other power quality tools and our other scopes and other tools as well. But really, it's the big point here is the portability of the tool, battery powered, higher frequency capabilities, and being able to do AC and DC or AC measurements or DC to DC measurements on energy conversion systems. But that's really the most important part about the Norma 6000 series, which is different from our other tools that we're currently manufacturing. And yeah, I think that kind of concludes our presentation.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Jason.
Yeah.
That was absolutely that was fantastic. A lot of information in there, folks. So I know sometimes it can feel like information overload, but this is your time to type in the questions that you have, that anything stirred up. Please use the chat feature. I'll take the time while questions are coming in to thank you very much again, Jason, for the presentation. Thank you for jumping on with us.
Sure, for sure.
And this is exciting stuff. This is a great new product, and I know that a lot of customers will definitely reap the benefits of knowing more about it. So let's see. I've got a couple questions. I have a question about the hertz range and what would a customer do if they have a little bit more of a range going from low to high? Would you have any particular suggestion if they have a little bit more of a wide range where they don't need to necessarily always hit that high kilohertz or hertz range?
Oh, sure. Well, it kind of depends on what type of measurement you're making. So the original point of the Norma design was to support variable frequency drive measurements, but usually those aren't going much above 8 kilohertz at the most. So 500 kilohertz gives you quite a bit more bandwidth. So in the past, customers who have had very varying frequency measurement requirements, the oscilloscope has always kind of been the go-to, like a Fluke 190 series. So if you're trying to make, if you need to make measurements above 500 kilohertz, then we always would, if it's a power quality manufacturing, we would always recommend going to like the Norma 4 and 5000 for those applications. But the bench, our portable oscilloscope line is quite flexible too. It's just what's going to be different between the Norma to that is the accuracy of the scope. It's not as accurate of a tool. So I don't know if that really answers the question entirely. The bandwidth capability is always there for making measurements all the way again up to 500 kilohertz. If you don't have that kind of range or requirement, but need to go above 50 or 60 hertz, Fluke does also make a power quality tool, which is the 437, which does 400 hertz also, if that's kind of in the range of what you're making your measurements in for like naval or aircraft applications. But certainly the Norma could do that also. But as far as adjustability of frequency goes, usually from a technical support standpoint, we would just direct the user towards the highest frequency range they think they may need, optimally. But the point of the Norma, excuse me, was to really allow for making measurements on these inversion systems. So, again, the inverters as well as variable frequency drives, those kind of systems where there's an energy conversion taking place where you have non-sinusoidal waveform shapes and you're dealing with higher frequency components. So I hope that might have clarified that a little bit.
It definitely did. If there is a follow-up to that, please, once again, everyone, you can use the chat feature to enter any and all questions that you have. I will take time. If you have any questions about quotes, availability, anything that Global Test Supply can help you out with, please, you'll be able to send quote requests or anything like that directly to sales@globaltestsupply.com, and one of our sales teams members will be able to help you out there. Another question. A question from a customer in a couple of the northern states, or it looks like a northern state. What type of operating temperature environment will the battery last 10 hours in?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would have to go back here and take a look at our specifications on this. Let me take a look here.
Absolutely. Oh, actually, I believe I have it up myself.
I was going to say it's probably in there. Usually we have the environmental specs, but I don't remember what they were off the top of my head.
So here it looks like I show -10 to 50 Celsius. I'm just going to double check that.
Yeah, as long as it's not storage specifications, that's the operating specifications.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, so that would be the real world operating conditions that we manufacture under. One of the things about Fluke is that on our specifications, we're always pretty good about giving more than what's actually spec'd. So the operating specifications that the engineering groups develops are very valid specifications.
Perfect. And so I will remind everyone once again, if you do have a question, please use the chat feature to type it in. We have plenty of time to answer any and all that you have. Jason, I think you did such a great job that questions are slowly moving in, but they're not coming in too quickly. So I think that's kudos to that very informative presentation.
Yeah, and you could always reach out to tech support, so people can always reach out to Fluke technical support if they have other questions too that come up. And
Absolutely.
if and then if technical support has trouble, then it usually gets escalated to us, like the subject matter experts from there. So, which may involve, engineering at that point or product development, but
yeah, absolutely. So let's see. Jason, I have to give you credit. I think you've done a great job.
A lot of times people have to digest the material for sure.
That too. There's definitely a possibility of that.
In today's virtual world.
Yeah, that, and then having a few more answers at the fingertips, kind of like what I was able to pull up quickly with that, with the operating temperature question. So once again, last reminder, folks, if you do have any questions, please use the chat feature. As Jason just said, if you have any questions that come up after the webinar, you can reach out to Global Test Supply directly using our email at sales@globaltestsupply.com. You can also, we do have a chat feature on our website that you can connect live with an operator and with a member of our sales team, as well as you can connect with the Fluke's technical support team as well. So looks like we have not gotten anything more in. So Jason, if you're okay, we'll wrap it up.
Okay.
Like I said, all right. So like I said to everyone, if you do have anything that comes up, please do not hesitate to email, chat, call in to tech support either through Global Test Supply or through Fluke directly. So on behalf of Global Test Supply University, we want to thank you for attending our webinar today. We hope that you found it informative and helpful. We are here to assist you, as I just mentioned. Go to our website, globaltestsupply.com, use the chat feature, email us if you want any quotes or have any technical questions. The email again is sales@globaltestsupply.com. In a few minutes at the end of this webinar, we will have a very short survey that we'd like you to complete. So if you don't mind taking a couple minutes and just completing that for us, the feedback is going to assist us on improving these webinars and bringing you more topics that are of interest and pertinent to you, the customer. Don't forget also, as I thank you for attending the webinar today, your name will be entered in a draw to win $100 for your next online order. The winner will be announced on our social media channels, so please be sure to check it out. Jason, I want to thank you very much once again for hopping on with us today. That was a great presentation.
Yeah, thanks, Chris.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. We look forward to the next one.
Yeah, sounds good.
I hope everyone has a great day.
Shortly. Okay, take care. Yep.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody.